Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Friday. Good morning, sunshines. My name is Organized Chaos. This is my channel, and I am creating, I'm guessing what's happening is I created a new little space called the Elevation Station, and I started with a book by a friend called um Child, I got 5 books over here. How to Eat and Live Longer for this part of the programming. And then, first of all, my whole channel, it just does whatever it wants to do. I started with my drinks and journal, and then it turned into the elevation station with the food. And then now I got 2 more books that I need to get out of me this summer while I have the time. Good morning, beautiful Shalom. Good morning, sunshine. Happy Friday, sis. Good morning, good morning, and good morning, and blessings to you as well. So I'm talking about what is getting me into. I got 2 more books that I'm introducing this summer while I have the time. And I have like my regular stuff that I do that I'm kind of putting on pause until I think my school year starts again. That's when I'm really I feel like doing that. And I just don't feel like doing it this summer. So today I am starting which gives me 5 books, y'all. First of all, I'm scatterbrained. This is the unorganized organization of it all. I got 5 books. I am finishing up the Seeing Beautiful again with the 50 devotions. I have already started with the 5-minute mindfulness. I'll do one of those once a week. So I have the Seeing Beautiful again. That's 1 book. I have the 5-minute mindfulness. That's the 2nd book. I have the How to Eat and Live Longer. That's the 3rd book. Today I am starting Across That Bridge. This is a book about life lessons and a vision for change from John Lewis, who rose to become a United States Congressman. He is one of our civil rights leaders. He has some really good books. This one is good because it talks about just some of the things that he went to be the peaceful, resistant, non-resistant person and politician that he was. He actually was alive during the civil rights movement. He worked with Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. And so I wanted to give him a space on my channel. And then I have one final book I'm going to get into. I'm going to start it next week. I will give you the title of it. But so that gives me 5 books. So that means every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I get to bring you some new information. Dr. Edie be making me I be all in my feelings. So I don't want to do him 2 days a week. It just be too much. He want us to eat better, and I do. I'm trying to eat better, but I don't want to eat better 2 days a week, Dr. Edie. So we're gonna have to get him one day. So we giving every book one day starting next week. So the book that I'm gonna start next week is gonna be interesting. So when I was in my I think my late 20s and 30s, Steve Harvey came out with his think like a man, act like a woman. And I read it and it was bullshit. I mean, but that was the thing during that time. There's another gentleman. He's a bit younger than Steve Harvey. I'm not going to say his name right, but he has a really good book that I read as well. His advice in his book is a little different, and I want to give it a space on my channel. His name is Antonin Barriola II. He wrote a book called Gentle Woman, Etiquette for a Lady from a Gentleman. So his approach to trying to help young women be the best versions of themselves is different from what Steve Harvey was talking about. And we know Steve Harvey don't practice what he preached no way, cuz he girl. Anyway, so I'm going to give Gentle Woman a space on my channel starting next week as well. With that said, today we are digging into Across That Bridge. These are life lessons and a vision change. The author is John Lewis. He is he's passed away. He was a United States Congressman. So today we're going to get into the first 3 parts of the book. And then I'm just going to do one part because there's only 7 chapters and they're deep and they're rich. So I just want to give them their separate spaces. So today we're going to do the foreword. We're going to do the introduction, and then we're going to do the first chapter, which is faith. Okay? All right, let us get into some things, you guys. And then you know how I do this. I read and I try to just focus on the reading, and then once I finish a section, I'll get into the chat to acknowledge everybody. So before I get started with the forward, I will acknowledge the chat first. If there's anybody else, so that I don't look up, because I get distracted real easy, y'all. All right, Foxy. Good morning, sunshine. Good morning, and good morning. Yes, bless his legacy. That's why I want to give it a space. Yes. Driving and listening, be safe. And I know you're going to leave and you're going to have to finish it on the replay, but I'll see you, you know what I'm saying? I'll catch you on the replay, but get as much as you can before you get to work. I know you're on your way to work. Good morning, learning. Good morning, beautiful. Good morning, sunshine. Thank you for being here. Okay. Retract. Okay. All right. Good morning. Yes, good morning, beautiful. Shalom. All right, you guys, let's get into it. So, the foreword to Across That Bridge is by Douglas Brinkley. United States Representative John Lewis still has the scars from the beatings he took for civil rights half a century ago. But the more telling mark on the longtime congressman whose life traces the movement that brought America out of those dark times is in his undiminished capacity for hope, faith, and love. He is our apostle of quiet strength. His eyebrow raised or finger wagged carries more weight than 100 bombastic speeches or clever pontifications. G.K. Chesterton, when contemplating Thomas Carlyle's heroes, wrote that true greatness emanates from an ecstasy of the ordinary. That grandest of all human qualities, authenticity of spirit, was an understated display in the late summer of 2010 when John entered Our Lady of the Gulf Church in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, shaking off the rain and wiping his wet feet on the welcome mat, a humble pilgrim come to pray. The occasion was the 5th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, and a group of us had come to pay our respects to the lovely seaside community left ravaged by that horrific storm. Flood waters gone, the Catholic shrine was bathed in candlelight, and the aroma of incense wafted on the air. Like Lewis, Bay St. Louis still showed the scars of the past, but both had survived and emerged stronger through a mighty confluence of faith, hard work, and resilience. This is a beautiful, beautiful church, John observed that day. You can get a sermon just by coming in here and sitting for a while. I'm going to pause right here. I remember, so recently I went to visit my family in Louisiana, and we stayed in Mississippi. There's a hotel casino there called the Beau Rivage. And on the shores, there are storm markers. And the storm markers show you how high that water actually was. Like when you see those storm markers and realize how high that water actually got, if you turn away from the storm markers and look into the area, like where the trees are, not only do you see like the elevated buildings, if you look up in those trees, you guys, there is sand still to this day in the tip tops of those trees. It was one of the most amazing things that I saw with my own eyes, to turn and see how high that water got into those trees. And you can just imagine the devastation that was left in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. It is something to behold. All right, back into the book. That struck me, for as this small reflective memoir demonstrates, you can get a lesson just by sitting for a while with John too. Here is a gracious man who exudes the goodness that his life has helped create. Every young person should read this homily on civility, a welcome antidote to the noisy clatter of self-indulgent indulgence exemplified by the surge of the me social media in our lives. Concerned that still stricken hamlets had gone forgotten in the national media's focus on New Orleans recovery, John had invited me to accompany him to Bay St. Louis and Waveland, Mississippi, where he had long ago sought schooling in civil disobedience to reflect on the losses and revival of the region. We were also with Ruby Bridges, the woman who had bravely integrated New Orleans William Frantz Elementary School in 1962 when she was only 8 years old. Y'all, I was born in 1972. That's only 10 years before I was born. It seems like a long time ago. These things are not that long ago. I try to get my students, I'm a history teacher. I try to get my students to understand that they're young, but when you put life into perspective, this is not a long time ago. Most of our group's hosts in Mississippi were conservative Republican admirers of Ronald Reagan and George W. Bush, but one wouldn't have guessed it from the respect and affection they lavished on a man considered one of the most liberal members of Congress. John's power in the end is that he loved his hosts, regardless of skin color or party affiliation, no matter the time or the place. Nary a hint of partisan discord surfaced as our delegation visited the Gulf Coast landmarks, ate barbecue, and swapped stories with the locals. John showed no interest in scoring points or ascribing blame for the handling of Katrina's aftermath. He had brought his delegation to Mississippi solely to continue the healing. All he asked of us was to remember the miracles Katrina had wrought and to pursue that spirit. John served that day, as on so many throughout his career, as the embodiment of the power of forgiveness. That gently righteous aura attended John long before Georgia's 5th District first elected him its U.S. Congressman in 1986. Y'all, I graduated. Well, you don't graduate from middle school. I was promoted from the 8th grade in 1986. He grew up a poor sharecropper's son in Troy, Alabama, toiling from dawn to dusk in cotton and cornfields. The segregated South offered numerous visceral ways to experience the horrors of institutional bigotry, not all of them as obvious as the ubiquitous signs marking facilities white or colored. John's color forbade him from checking books out of the library, but it didn't stop him from learning that freedom demands sacrifice and fortitude. He realized he would have to lay his body on the line for civil rights, armed with the discipline and philosophy of nonviolence, the most impenetrable of shields. John became a warrior of love. At the age of 18, John entered the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Encountered the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. and took up the nonviolent resistance that would fuel and sustain the battle for civil rights. The ignorance and contradictions of Jim Crow were too much for him to bear. If you don't know or have never heard of Jim Crow are laws that kept separate but equal alive in the United States of America. After slavery, they had to continue to make it difficult for Black people to thrive and survive in the United States of America. So they came up with these things called Jim Crow laws. You know what I'm saying? Fill a jar with jelly beans. And in order to vote, you got to guess how many jelly beans are in this jar. Create a space for white people to go to the bathroom and black people to go to the bathroom. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not in history class. Focus in the books. Read the book, girl. Read the book. Okay, focus. I'm focused. Back in the book. John became a leader of the lunch counter sit-in movement and remained steadfast throughout a repetitive cycle of appalling incidents. The day after John F. Kennedy was elected president, he sat down to eat at the Crystal Diner in Nashville, Tennessee. When the waitress refused him service, John persisted until she seemed to have relented. But then she poured disinfectant down John's back and a pitcher of water over his food. The diner's manager, meanwhile, trained a fumigation sprayer on him, burning him as he would a cockroach. That level of violent humiliation would deter most people. But John had launched himself to implement the U.S. Supreme Court's 1954 Brown v. Board of Education of Topeka decision, which had ruled against separate but equal facilities for blacks and whites. This is why Roe v. Wade being overturned is not the end. If they can overturn Roe v. Wade, y'all, anything else that has been amended, anything else that has been put into law to help create some type of equality for human beings in general in this United States of America, they can go back and let's look at that one. Oh, let's look at that one. It's not over. Okay, focus. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm a history teacher. I told y'all this stuff makes me emotional and I be mad and I be trying not to be political on these YouTube streets or social media, but you know what I'm saying? That's why I got to stay in the book. Because if I get distracted, I get mad and then I get off topic. And no, back into the book. John was not about to stop fighting until the South system of Jim Crow laws was exposed and eradicated once and for all. And this is why people fought. And they can go back 50 years and overturn. In May 1961, he took part in the first of the storied freedom rides that brought busloads of black and white civil rights activists through Dixie, where protesters were routinely and brutally attacked. The future congressman and his colleagues were kicked, clubbed, and punched from Rock Hill, South Carolina, to Montgomery, Alabama. They did not fight back. Through John, he and his fellow protesters, the nonviolent resistance that defined the civil rights movement and gave it its power became more than a willingness to bleed for the idea that our time has come. It became the very symbol of the power of faith to transform the destiny of a nation. In 1963, John proudly accepted an invitation to speak at the pivotal March on Washington in favor of what would become 1 year later the Civil Rights Act and 2 years later the Voting Rights Act. As it now stands, the voting section of this bill will not help the thousands of Black people who want to vote. He intoned from the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. It will not help the citizens of Mississippi or Alabama and Georgia who are qualified to vote, but lack a sixth grade education. One man, one vote is the African cry. It is ours too. It must be ours. I'm going to pause right here because something is telling me that because this is so, I'm not going to be able to stay focused. And I see so much in the chat and I want to acknowledge it in real time. So I think today we might only get through the forward. We'll see. We'll see, because we're 22 minutes into this and I'm not even halfway through the forward. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to go into the chat and then we'll get back into finishing the forward and we'll see what the time looks like. And I don't want to keep you guys here all day, all morning, because I know people are on their way to work. All right. So learning is speaking. Oh, hey, Cindy White. Good morning, sunshine. Good morning, and good morning. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. All right, everybody is speaking to Cindy. I have to take a charge, and I think I'm taking a break because I get emotionally charged by all of this. Beautiful says they were basically a way to legally keep Blacks suppressed. Absolutely, Jim Crow. Yep. It takes strength to get hit. Can you imagine? Physically getting hit? You got people on YouTube that you can't even say their name without them, you know what I'm saying? Like being emotionally attached and just wanting to do things and drag things and say things. You know what I'm saying? You got real life people who had disinfectant, hot water, hoses, dogs, jail, and they were able to do nothing. That's not weakness. That is a different type of strength that we didn't have to experience. But that should be in our DNA. That should have helped mature us so that when we got into this social media age and era of our lives, we will have built up some type of resilience. But that has not happened for everybody. We have not matured in that space. Not all of us. And hopefully it will happen. Hopefully we can help create spaces of maturity so that younger generations can see it. But we not there. We are in a really sad space, social medially. And it has not transformed from physical to virtual for a lot of us. And the older people, y'all, we got to set better examples for these younger kids coming up. They are watching us. And if they see us out here with the fuck shit, they believe that that's what they supposed to be doing too. We need to stay in our lanes. We need to grow up. It's so sad, some of the things I observe and some of the things that I see. And we got people out here fighting for real change. And we on social media just acting like assholes. They are still trying to take our vote. They trying to take our liberties from us. I got so many things that I think about, so much that I see. Everybody got so many opinions about people's sins except their own. I got so many thoughts about R. Kelly. I got so many thoughts about these young rappers that's out here getting killed. I got so many thoughts, and I keep it to myself because as soon as you speak your truth, people want to attack you. But he who is without sins needs to shut the fuck up. They out here prosecuting us. They putting RICO charges on people who can't read, who are illiterate, who have no idea who they did what they saw their fathers and uncles do, who don't know no better, who are uneducated. Make it make sense. And they taking away our rights day by day. They don't want to renew rights. It's parts of the Constitution. It's parts of our rights that still have not been renewed for us to be human beings and to exist in this country. And y'all out here talking about goof ass shit and fighting and getting your blood pressure up. You can't even eat right, drink right, think right. It makes no sense. And all you doing is talking about other people. And we got battles. We at war. It makes no fucking sense. And it's disgusting and it hurts. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. It is emotional immaturity. Emotional immaturity. Good morning, and Renee. Good morning, Sunshine. Thank you for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Child, social media is, and it does, but we just get to see it in real time. I'm sure when John was doing all of this, there were people who were talking about him, bashing him. You know what I'm saying? But there were also people who supported the movement. And that's what we got to tap into, y'all. As much as we can. We might not ever go viral. It might not, we might not, and it doesn't matter. But we have to create spaces to help uplift our people because there's so many of us who are lost. And we can't say because people are a certain age, they should know better and they should do better. I have learned that just because you are a certain age, you can still be emotionally immature. You may not have ever had an example to show you better, to do better. And you are just caught up in that space of immaturity. Yes. All right, let's finish this forward. We're at 29 minutes, and I'm trying not to do more than an hour. So we might not finish. We may not get to the intro and to the first section, but we will have a home to finish this at least one day, maybe more a week. And so it was. Because of John and his fellow foot soldiers in the civil rights movement, he and the other founders of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC, the nonprofit's mission, which John endorsed and defended with undaunted courage, was racial equality. The SNCC frequently found themselves beaten, bloody on their crusade against segregation. White mobs taunted and tormented them simply for demanding their constitutional right to vote. John and all his fellow saints held to their principles and their faith. They refused to back down no matter how many blows rained upon them at lunch counters and swimming pools and laundromats. These decades later, those scars act as a reminder of what John and others had to sacrifice. As this book shows, Lewis did not emerge a beaten man. Quite the contrary. Every punch, every kick, every jeer made him only more determined to love his fellow man. His life's goal remains dazzlingly audacious, no less than the creation of the beloved community of America, where God is made manifest, the exiled brought home. Signs dividing white from colored no longer stain today's South. America is better than that now, thanks to those who endured so much to make it so. Back in the mid 1960s, the South counted fewer than 50 Black elected officials. Now there are more than 6,000, and President Barack Obama leads the free world. In 2009, even South Carolina's Elwyn Wilson, a one-time white supremacist who punched John during a freedom ride, apologized for his long ago hatred. Afterwards, John hugged the 68-year-old Wilson like a brother. This reconciliation represents the perfect expression of the twin pillars of John's philosophy of forgiveness and redemption. To John Lewis, social transformation starts from within. To revolutionize America to be ever better, he says we must first revolutionize ourselves. And that means giving better than we got. Giving better than you got, y'all. Give better. Give better. John himself has been brutalized, dehumanized, hounded, whipped, and cursed many times and in many places. And yet here he stands, his righteousness shining brighter than ever. It comes as no surprise, at least to anyone who has read his memoir, Walking with the Wind. As John explains, when he stood on Selma's Edmund Pettus Bridge and steeled himself for another clubbing, he felt no fear, for God's light burned inside of him. And so it does today. Even as the nonviolent movement John helped lead in the 1960s retreats into grainy newsreel images of protesters battered by water hoses and reruns of Eyes on the Prize and annual news coverage of Martin Luther King Jr. days, the gentleman from Georgia continues to remind us of how far we've come and of how far we still have left to go. He forges onward, that rarest of politicians who draws the respect of every colleague on both sides of the partisan aisle when he steps to the podium. People hush. Everyone wants to hear the spirit of greatness. That is the fruit that John's life has borne. The John Lewis I've come to know on pilgrimages to Birmingham, Selma, Montgomery, New Orleans, and Bay St. Louis is not done fighting for what is right. When somebody asks me whether I'm a Democrat or Republican, my stock answer is I'm standing on whatever John is standing on. When people ask me what I am a human being. I think Republicans and Democrats are trash, in my opinion. They are both one and the same. They work together because if anyone wants to make a change, that's what they do. When they get scared, they start having talking points and they do nothing. There is no reason that the Democrats have not changed that Supreme Court number. There is no reason they have not stopped anything that was on their agenda. Student loan debt, diminish it. You got the power. You might not get reelected. So what? If your goal is change, you know by this current president is not, he's a one-term president. If I have 4 years to change society, baby, I will go in there with that sword and I will cut everything up and I will let the consequences be damned. But they're politicians and they're concerned about re-election. So he doesn't want to damage his supporters, his colleagues, so that they can get reelected. Fuck a reelection. Make the change. Blow that shit up. Add 2 more justices to the Supreme Court. Add 3. Figure it out. All of these excuses, man, please stop it. That's how you know they work together. Don't tell me one is better than the other. I believe the Republicans are more ruthless than the Democrats. They don't give a damn. But please believe they work together. There is no better party. They're all trash. They've all been in power when bad things have happened. There is no one better than the other. They're all trash. They're politicians. And when they get into the office, they change. That's just what happens when you become an administrator, when you become powerful. You be like, oh, I got to protect the people. I got to protect my position. You worried about your man, please. You better get in there with that double-edged sword and cut right, cut left, cut center, and make the change. But nah, you know what I'm saying? Nah, we want to get reelected. We got to be nice and kind. Yeah, okay. That's why all of this Republicans, man, please. And the goal is to keep us divided. If they can keep us out here fighting against each other, Republican, 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 Democrat, Democrat, Democrat. Money, money, money. That's all they doing. They getting paid. These politicians today are some of the richest politicians in the history of America. They getting paid. Please believe that. Hey, happy all day. Good morning, sunshine. I can't focus, y'all. This is gonna be a non-focused reading. We're only gonna get through one section at a time. I'm just gonna let that be what it's gonna be. Because this part of me is coming out. So I gotta let it do what it do. The Lord says, just be who you are for this reading today. Organized. Like, okay, you had a plan, that's not gonna be the plan. When the plans change and the good Lord tells you to change the plans in the middle of the program, just change the plans and keep it moving, child. That's what I'm doing. So this reading of this is going to be different than when I'm reading about the food and the devotions. Yeah, it can't. This one is going to be all off track because we got things to say. Because socially, this stuff, we got to pay attention, y'all, because history repeats itself. If you can retract the law from 50 years ago, you got history repeating itself. What's going to happen next? Pay attention. Nothing is new under the sun. Everything that is happening, it's happened before in some way, shape, or form. That's why when kids tell me history is boring, I make sure I find a way to change that thought pattern. I find a way to make it as interesting as it is as possible. History was boring for me when I grew up. I thought it was the worst thing ever until I realized and I opened my eyes like this stuff keeps happening. We just keep reliving the past over and over and over until we learn the lesson. It's the same way with our lives. You are going to keep repeating the things that God needs you to repeat until you learn the lesson. You cannot grow. You cannot become the butterfly until you die and to that caterpillar and blossom. It's the same way with life. It's the same way with society. We cannot grow. There is something to be learned in the pain and the process, and we haven't learned it. God said, start over. Wipe the slate clean. Figure it out. Because y'all out here being goofballs, and you ain't learning the lesson. You out here thinking you had a victory when you didn't. You had a celebration when it wasn't over. We still at war. Y'all done put y'all swords down. We still fighting. He shows you every day. And y'all keep ignoring it. We keep ignoring it. Child, I don't even know what I was talking about. That's why I'm trying to get into the comments because I know this is different, y'all. This one is different. This one feels different. So we just got to let this do what it do. Today is only going to be the forward to the book because girl, it's 40 minutes in. It is the people. Republicans, they are the same. All of them. They are the same. And that's why it's important now. We exercise our voices. We have to vote. We have to. When people talk about my vote don't matter, it does. That's like saying a penny doesn't matter. Child, if you see a penny on the ground, you better pick that penny up. Last time I checked, 100 pennies make $1. Last time I checked, $100 make $100. You can't get to the dollar if you don't start with the pennies. Every single one counts. You can't get to a minute until you start with the seconds. Every second of every minute of every hour of every day of every month of every year counts. If you stop breathing for X amount of seconds, you die. Because those seconds are minutes and minutes turn into hours. It all matters. Stop thinking that the least among us don't matter. We had a devotion the other day where the roots in the tree were not solid and the ant found a hollowing in the roots and the ant brought its friends and they gnawed at the roots, and that big grown tree that looked so tall and unstoppable fell when the first storm came because it wasn't built on solid ground. That's like the houses and the sand that is built on. When I got married, my mama told me, this marriage ain't gonna last because you're building it on sand. There is no foundation. I couldn't see her. I couldn't hear her. I had to go through that storm of marriage and divorce before I got the lesson. We keep not getting we keep not listening to our elders. We keep not wanting to hear the things that hurt because we want to do what we want to do in our flesh and our humanness. We have to educate ourselves. And I think that is what's happening onto my channel and to me in this space on social media and on YouTube. God is like, everything you need, you got. Everything you need to give to the people. Everything I need you to say. And I just turn around and I look at my bookshelf. And every day I pick up one and I'll be like, nah, I don't want to read that one. And then I'll go back and then it's like, this is the one. I had looked at this book a few times and I was like, nah, that's going to be boring. That's not worth, you know what I'm saying? Until I started with the book about the food. And then yesterday I was cleaning up, going through my bookshelf again. And I put my fingers on this book and it gave me the energy. And I looked at it and I was like, the faith and the healing. John Lewis is the perfect place for the elevation station for us to rise. Yep, know what the track record is. America is a systemically racist government. Anything that is built on the blood and the back of human beings will always need that blood to survive. Our blood is the blood of the American flag. Our sweat and toil and tears is how this nation became what it is. Without us, there would be no America. When they diminish who we are and our contributions to this space, man, kick rocks. Without my ancestors, those that I am my ancestors. When people are, I'm not my ancestors, the fuck are, what are you really talking about? It is because of them that we are. I am them. I stand on their shoulders. I am them. They bled and died for me. They took bullets for me and beatings and whippings, and they were raped and savaged and stolen. That is in my DNA. That is who I am. That's what makes me powerful and great. You too. You too. Wake up, y'all. They don't want you to believe that you are your ancestors. They don't want you to believe that you are great. They don't want you to believe that you survived everything that they did to try to kill your spirit. They want you to eat bullshit. They want you to be sick. They want to pump you full of drugs. They want to lock you up in prison. They want to have you sign on a dotted line, young rappers, and they want to take your life and make money off of your death. Wake up. So the people we vote and put into position are the folks that make up Congress and Senate that will have the ability to push the agenda for the government. And it starts with your city, state, and school boards. A lot of your elected officials, not all, started with simply being a member of a school board or a civic organization in your community. Look at those people, y'all, that y'all are putting into any type of elected position. They use those positions to become state representatives. They use those positions to become governors. They use those positions to become mayors. They use those positions to become congressmen and senators. Those people at the state fair getting you to sign petitions, those people at your corner store getting you to sign petitions, pay attention to those names. Midterm elections are some of the most important elections, and a lot of us only choose to vote during presidential elections. There are so many ballot initiatives that happen during the midterms that we are not aware of. Look at the funding for your school districts and the bonds that they put on those initiatives. Your schools in a lot of our communities are lacking funding because y'all won't vote for a bond to help your school get out of debt. And then these charter schools come in here and they take over your local public schools, and they are allowed to bypass some of the basic things that are put into place that public schools have to account to. And public schools already ain't doing enough. Can you imagine what charter schools don't do and what they get away with? Come on, y'all. Care about your future. Care about these kids. They have to live life long after you are not even worthy of mentioning in a sentence. Care about something bigger and greater than yourself. Leave a legacy of growth mindedness. Leave a legacy of better. We leaving junk. We leaving garbage. And it's so sad. And it is to keep us oppressed. It is. We need to do our research on the individuals running for anything. We need to do research on where we are allowing money to be distributed to. We are paying, your taxes is paying for all of this. Your taxes is paying for every single thing that happens in the United States of America, whether you like it or not. It's paying for it. It's paying for these politicians' salaries. It's paying for every single Supreme Court justice that has a lifetime guaranteed till they die on the bench job. It's paying for all of that. But you won't vote. Come on, y'all. He sure can help Ukraine. He not worried about the public opinion. Right. It's paying for Ukraine. And Brittany Griner is still over there locked up in Russia. What in the hell kind of girl? Don't get me. I'm trying, you know what I'm saying? I don't talk about stuff like that. Come on. You ain't gonna run up in there and get that girl. Stop it. You do everything else you want to do. They are trying to arrest. They are. And if you think Roe versus Wade is about anything other than white babies being born, you are sadly mistaken. This country is becoming too brown. It's becoming too brown for a lot of people. And they like, And if you believe the numbers and the statistics about the number of colored people in America, you are sadly mistaken. We are undercounted. They keep calling us a minority for a reason. It is a mindset that they want you to have, that you are a minority. But in reality, this minority is a lot bigger than what they want you to believe it is. And they are afraid. Because what if the numbers that are already not true are starting to look like we are a majority? And if the majority has the power in this country to treat you like you treated us, they are scared. And we don't even want that. We just want you to let us be. We just want equality. But if you know you've been dogging people for hundreds of years and they get power, can you imagine the fear that runs through your veins? They scared, y'all. They scared. Vote people into places that mirror your beliefs. Look into their political backgrounds to make sure they truly mirror what they say. And stop looking for perfect people. Stop letting these people dig into your politicians' past and tell you that because they did X, Y, and Z 5, 10, 15 years ago, they are not worthy of having changed and being better and thinking better. Stop doing that to politicians and stop doing that to your next door neighbor and to these people on YouTube. Let sleeping dogs lie. Why are you worried about what people did last year? I am not the same person that I was yesterday, let alone last year, let alone 5 years ago. I have grown. And if you want to hold me into a place that I have outgrown, shame on you. You can stay there, but God bless you, baby, because I'm not her no more. But everything that she was has created who I am. And I am absolutely not ashamed of her. Stop letting people use your past against you, your family, your friends, strangers on social media. Pay them dust. Show up every day and be the best version of yourself. Period. Pay them dust. You got to wake up today and be the best version of who you are now, because hopefully you woke up. God got you up. And while you slept, you processed yesterday and you processed what you could do better to make today better. And you not even beholden to who you were yesterday, y'all. That is the beauty of God's grace and mercy and growth. Human beings don't have to understand none of that. That is not for you to worry about what any human being. Stop holding politicians to that. Allow them to have lived a life and to have grown with anybody else. God bless their past and pray for their better future. If you can't do nothing else for R. Kelly today, pray for him. Just pray for him. That man has had some of the highest highs. And right now in this valley, until he processes what he did not learn as a free man, he is in a space of wilderness. Pray for him. You don't ever have to listen to anything he did, but don't act like you didn't. Don't act like you was holier than thou and you didn't step in the name of love. Don't do that. Don't act like you didn't believe you could fly. That man is not perfect. And if you discount his art, you can't listen to no music. You can't read no books. You can't enjoy no art because ain't nobody out here perfect. You can't listen to no preacher. You can't listen to half of your school teachers. I know a school teacher who has children with his former student. And he was never locked up. He was never prosecuted. He continues to thrive and strive. That's only because he didn't caught. Do you know how many people out here didn't get caught for their sins of man? But they still living and thriving. Y'all need to pray for people and stop talking about them. Pray for them. They need help. They are lost. They are fighting demons that they don't even know exist. They are having behaviors that they learned that they thought was okay until the world said it's not. But the world didn't catch everybody in their sin. You survived some of your sins that the world didn't catch. God gave you grace in that moment and said, if you don't learn this lesson today, they coming to get you. And you said, you know what? Let me straighten up. Let me straighten up. I don't want to live like that no more. And by God's grace and mercy, the popos didn't come for you. Then people didn't come and lock you up. Y'all stop it. Stop it. Pray for people. This one is going to be deep. I still ain't finished the foreword. Oh, Jesus. I am somewhere I had no idea I was going to be this morning. But when the Spirit take you there, you got to pause. As they reverse laws out into place to protect the rights of women, they are increasing gun. Exactly. They done took a Second Amendment right. They done kicked that damn door down and opened it up. That thing started out with muskets that you had to put a thing in to clean the gunpowder out and reload, and it took you about a minute or two, and boom, you got one shot out. Now we got automatic, semi-automatic weapons that go boom, and within seconds, milliseconds, you done mowed down school children in the school. Come on, y'all. They get to pick and choose these laws. They get to transform these laws. And you say because it's a man-made law, it's right and it's wrong. Hell, slavery was legal. Just always keep that in mind. If slavery was legal, do you think it can't be legal again? The fuck out of here. Y'all are living in a fantasy. This world is fake. This is all make-believe. We are all avatars in this universe. Who do you present as? What do you really believe in? What is your avatar's purpose while it's here? Is it destruction and mayhem and ignorance? If it is, own it. Don't act like you better than anybody then. Just own your shit. Be exactly who God made you be. Stand in your bullshit. But you can't go back and forth. You can't keep living like you righteous and you not. You can't keep living like you trying to do better and you not. You can't keep living like you believe in this, but it's only applicable when. I follow a content creator, a male content creator. One thing that he said that really stood out to me was this Bible, this picking and choosing. Y'all get to pick and choose the parts of the Bible you like. The Bible tells you how to eat. The Bible tells you how to live. The Bible tells you how to think. It tells you lots of things. But y'all process and pick and choose the parts of the Bible that you like and you don't like. Fornication is cool for some people. Other parts of the Bible, eating pork, you ain't supposed to do that. You're not supposed to eat the hooved meat, the meat from hooved animals. That, you know what I'm saying? Like, we pick and choose. We are all guilty of picking and choosing the parts of the Bible that are comfortable for us. Stop it. We all are sinners. Y'all need to pray for people. And stop saying who got enough time and who didn't get enough time in these man-made laws, fake-ass world we live in. If a man can make a law and then reverse the law, that's how you know it's all bullshit. This is all a fantasy. Find something real and believe in it and stick with it and grow and mature. As they continue to murder men and women of color unjustly and disproportionate from any other race, they are restricting the process of life and what that looks like for women. Absolutely. Because it's not about life. It's never been about life. It's been about control. We live in a patriarchal society. Men are losing control. White men specifically, rich white men specifically. This country was created and founded on rich white men controlling the narrative. And they're losing that control. Can you imagine the disarray and panic that they are in? It wasn't supposed to be like this. Their ancestors, like we always talk about our ancestors. Their ancestors are rolling the fuck over in their graves right now. Please believe that. You got to always think about all of the pieces of the puzzle. This country was not created to be what it looks like today. It just was not. We weren't even human beings. We didn't even exist. We was property. Can you imagine How scared they are? They want girl, girl, girl. I'm not even gonna say it out loud. It's right there though. Y'all can read. Y'all can read. The replacement theory got these folks scared to death. We are pacified, played with, and ignorant as a whole in a major way to what ways we can make an impact. Absolutely. Because if you can keep us sick, if you can keep us out of a book, if you can keep us ignorant, if you can keep us wanting diamonds and flashy things and listening to music that is toxic to our soul, you can continue to control us. You can continue to keep the youth because that's where it's at. It's with our young people. That's why the grown-ups, y'all, those of us of a certain age, we gotta teach we gotta do better. We just do. And it might not be all of us doing better. But if we can unite and some of us can create this space, the energy will emanate. It will get out. And we have social media now, and these places can live for eternity. We already know these videos live forever. Y'all be screenshotting and recording all the bullshit. Screenshot and record this. Spread this message. Replay it, clip it for the masses. If you got a platform and you got thousands of people watching and following you, what else are you putting on there that's going to help those thousands of people? Y'all go around here in the bushes of everybody that's toxic, and you respread and recreate the narrative of what they say, and you chop and clip and sort and dort and put your spin on it. Come on, y'all. Come on. It's the people doing all in complaining, saying why they're not voting. They won't even educate themselves on John Lewis and his journey, or anybody else, or anybody else, or anybody else. Because they the biggest and the sharpest and the brightest. If you think you, not if you think, let me tell you this. I learned this a long time ago when I was in my 20s. If you are the smartest person in your circle, you are dying a slow death. If you don't have anybody that can check you, if you don't have anybody that loves you enough to hurt your feelings and give you some wisdom and knowledge about your fuck shit and your bullshit, if nobody keeps it real with you, that's what happened to R. Kelly, y'all. Nobody loved that man enough to help him out of his hurt, to show him his demons. They just all used that man. They allow his demons to run his life, and they contributed to all of it. If you are around people who only help you do dumb shit and who only pacify you, and nobody ever makes you uncomfortable, if you ain't never lost a friend because they said some things that hurt your feelings, you ain't never had a real friend. Ever. And you still don't. If everybody's scared of you, you ain't got no friend, and don't nobody love you. If don't nobody love you enough to help you grow past who you are as a human being in this moment, don't nobody love you, and I'm sad for you. I'm sorry. If all you got is amen and yes man around you, and ain't nobody sharpening your sword, I'm sorry. And I'm going to pray for you. If you perfect, if you don't do nothing wrong, if you really feel like you can justify every behavior every single day of your life, that every single thing that you do every day is right and you can justify it, I'm sorry for you. Child. Even if you don't live to bear witness the fruit of your labor, what about your kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids? What about the person that you are today that is looking for your ancestors from 100, 1,000 years ago that you will never know because they weren't even a human being and their being didn't even get recorded? Do you want to be that ghost in history that nobody remembers you? That nothing you did was worthy of even being remembered, of even being a human being? What legacy are you leaving? If you don't have $1 million and $1 billion to leave your children, what are you leaving them? Are you leaving them death and destruction? Are you leaving them ignorance? Are you creating generations of ghosts that nobody will remember? You deserve better. Your lineage deserves better. Your ancestors that didn't know better deserve better. They are waiting on you. There are ancestors from thousands of years ago that have been waiting patiently for that one generation of their lineage to get it and to shine and to thrive and to grow and to stop the cycles. They've been waiting and watching the cycles that we live in, the abuse that we live in, that we have endured. We don't have to live there anymore. But we've transformed the abuse of others, and now we are abusing each other. Why? For profit, for gain, because that's the American way, to get it by any means necessary, to come up off of each other, to not care about our brothers and our sisters' pain. Come on, y'all. We better than this. We better than what we putting out here. To feel inferior. We are the majority. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. Yep, we are, for sure. But they don't want you to believe that. But that's what all of this is about. Whew, okay. I got so many comments, y'all. We still not finished with the foreword. I got to change the description, y'all, because that's all we're going to finish today. I believe the past can be indicative of the future behaviors, for sure. That's why you're supposed to learn them and grow them. Actions speaking louder than words, and words aren't always matching actions. Girl, you better preach a word in this chat, child, please. So it's important to Christians with sense. We have no heaven or hell to put anyone in. Period. But we always trying to. You need to go to hell. You need to get locked up. You need to do this. Mm-mm. However, we can negate a lot of unnecessary stress by observing and acknowledging. Yes, it doesn't need to be spoken outwardly, but it's relevant and it needs to be considered. Have a great day, everyone. Finish up at work before you get up. I know it's longer than I wanted it to be. And Renee, thank you for being here. You have a good day too. God bless you, baby. If they want to reverse something, what they start with the Constitution being a fifth of a human. Girl, they ain't right. Girl, don't get started. Don't get started. Good morning, Kimber. Thank you for being here, boo. Okay, I'm almost at the end, y'all. We can finish the foreword. Child. This is deep. All right, John Lewis speaking and God speaking through this book y'all got me reading today. Let's get this foreword out, y'all. That August, along the Mississippi coast, after John spoke at Our Lady of the Gulf, he held our delegation on he led our delegation on a field trip through the post-Katrina devastation. Once elegant homes and businesses were now, even 5 years later, still mounds of rubble. But John asked us to alter our perceptions, to see not broken bottles as debris, but rather shards of light. each fragment as beautiful as a crystal. That afternoon in Bay St. Louis, inspecting ruins in the rain, our delegation, under John's lead, became a sort of impromptu procession. He asked us to not think of the Mississippi coast like a broken place, but as home to God's children. Just as he did in Selma in 1965, John was teaching us how even natural violence could be processed in such a way as to become a healing event. We have in John Lewis a moral force for good. In this book, he presents a gift, the story of a living American hero and how we can become that too. Here is a snapshot of Lewis's faith in action. Whenever an Occupy protest pops up or thousands of pro democracy protesters swell city streets, let's hope this book will be passed around as a quick read primer on the efficiency of nonviolence tactics. For Lewis is a survivor and eyewitness to the power of love in a world where hate continues to march to a hydra headed drummer. There is no hyperbole for self aggrandizement in these pages, just a man of faith who has never let anybody turn him around. That is the end of the forward. I look forward to finishing out this book this summer with you guys, one section at a time now, because we got thoughts. This is relevant. This is recent. This is our generation's call to do better, to be better, to spread the message of those that fought before us, and to allow us to not just use the good parts. We have to use the painful parts. We learned in our Seeing Beautiful again that the parts of the pottery that don't get used become broken pieces. And those broken pieces are used to create more pottery, to create more beautifulness. It is the same with our lives and our stories. Those broken pieces of us, we do not use them to live in shame. We do not use them to point fingers at others. We use them to show how we survived, how we thrived, and to show others that beauty still resides within each and every one of us. We are the change that we are looking for. We are the change that we are looking for. Let's be better. Let's do better. Let's treat each other better. Let's learn together and let's grow together. I love y'all. Have a happy Friday. Have a blessed weekend. And I'll see you guys in one of these books on Monday. Happy 4th of July, you guys. I'll be here on the 4th, though, early in the morning. But I got somewhere to go to party that day. Have a blessed weekend. I love y'all. I love y'all. I love y'all. Peace.